Right. But yeah, I used to be a Baha'i, and one of the things that's said in one of the Baha'i teachings is that in the future, healing all healing will be done. I think it says it will be done through sound and water.
Mm.
And my son and I were just talking about sound healing yesterday, and that's what I was gonna say. My son, had said that about, that he had this idea that humans had come from Mars, and I'm like, yeah, that is, I believe that's probably true. But it's all a dream. So
Exactly.
whatever the dream we made up, here it is. We're in it. So,
Choose your story. You know.
yeah, it's a choose your own adventure thing. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, it's adventure. I like that.
exactly. So I used to get those. My kids, they're storybooks that you read, the first like a little bit, and I know Marcy knows about this, I'm sure. And then it'll say, did they go up the river or did they go down the river? And then you choose what they did.
Oh, yeah.
You turn to the page where that's what they did, and then you go on from there. Did they go in the cave, or did they, or did, she pick up the book, or did she leave the book, or whatever it is that you choose, then your adventure is different. So they're called choose your own adventure stories. And yeah, it's pretty fun for young kids because it does give them the idea that, at each juncture when you make a different choice, you have a different outcome. So I'm sure they weren't made to teach children that. They were just made to give, people an idea of, you can choose your own adventures. So anyway, good evening, everybody. Excuse me. So grateful to see you all here. And here we're back to talking about A Course in Miracles and nonviolent communication. And I have a recording from Marshall that I think is really going to be helpful. And it's called How to Say BS in Giraffe. And if you know nonviolent communication, uh, the when you're listening with your giraffe ears, when you're experiencing through your giraffe mind, your giraffe thinking. Um, yes, I did, Michaela, I did get your email today with that. Um, and we're going to do that tomorrow night. Michaela is going to be talking to us about her time with Tara Singh, which, as you all know, if you've studied, along the course, he was one of the early students, and he's actually memorialized on the foundation history wall. You can go and see things about Tara Singh on there. He's one of the early students, along with Ken and John Mundy and lots of other folks. But anyway, so that's going to be tomorrow night. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and put this little recording on. And then when it's done, we're going to stop and talk about it. And it is just another way of communicating. And I'm just really not going to talk about it. I'm just going to put it on. We're going to listen. Does anybody have any thoughts before we go into that? Or anything that they'd like to share other than it's cold? This is the what do you call it? Siberian. Apparently, this cold air that we have here came from Siberia. So just imagine how cold it is in Siberia. Uh, it's it sounds so sad. It sounds so terrible. All right, what is going on here? This new Zoom thing is driving me nuts. It's driving me crazy. This new Zoom, it's driving me nuts. It's driving me crazy. Okay. All right, here we go. There's beautiful, sweet Marshall. Can you guys see Marshall or his shoulder, anyways? If you can't, you'll say
The
something.
shoulder.
All right, here we go.
Ears on, you hear the feelings behind the words. You hear the need. Every moment we have feelings and needs. So we're hearing the truth. What's really alive in this person now? It's better for you to hear only that, because then you don't live in a world of criticism or judgments. You take away all power from other people to dehumanize you when you have giraffe ears on. You never have to worry about other people's reaction to what you say. You can be honest without fear, because you know I don't ever have to worry about how others respond. Only what ears I have on to respond to their response. But I can control that. I can't control how others respond. And if I'm going to worry about something I can't control, I'll become a nice, dead person. You see, I'll be afraid to reveal myself for fear. What if they say this? Well, who cares what they say? If you have giraffe ears on, it's a gift. All they're saying is, please, please. So let's hear the please behind the message that you hear. First read off the message, and then let's hear how you heard the feelings and needs behind it.
What I expect my daughter would say was, I can't control myself when I'm so angry.
I can't control myself when I'm so angry.
And when I thought about it, I would think I could say, are you feeling frustrated because you are needing some other ways to express your anger?
That's what I ask you to do, to try to hear the feelings and needs. And even if that's not accurate, notice what it does, even if it's wrong. It demonstrates a value. It demonstrates that you value what's alive in that person. That you're taking the time to try to connect with what's alive in that person. When people trust that that's what's interesting to you, already we can solve anything, you see. What makes it hard to resolve things is when people feel the other person is only interested in winning. They don't care about me. They're just out to show me that I shouldn't do this. But by just stopping and trying to connect, you've demonstrated a powerful value, that you value what's alive in her. Okay? Another one. Yes?
Related to my son, are you feeling distressed, confused, because you are needing help?
That's the idea. Again, even if it's not accurate, it gives notice, even if it's not accurate, it brings the other person's attention to their needs. Gives them a chance to correct it. Better to be guessing wrong what a person needs is than to hearing what they think. You'll be living in a different world when you are trying to connect with their needs than the world you'll be living in if you hear what they think.
Stop it right there for a moment, just to emphasize that what he's talking about is when you're having a conversation with somebody and you're wanting to be able to connect to them, they may be telling you, I'm upset about this, I'm afraid of this, or whatever. It's through listening and trying to connect, and you can make guesses. Are you feeling, sad because of this, or are you feeling upset because of this? And even if you guess wrong, the person will know that you're really trying to understand them, and so they can be free to say, well, that's not exactly how I feel, or that's not exactly what I think is happening, but maybe this is more likely. So it helps them also to bring together their own thoughts, because there's a lot of times, and I know that we've all experienced this, where I really just don't even know what I'm feeling. I know that I'm upset, but I can't really define what it is. But if we start digging into, is it this maybe? Is it this? Then it helps me to clarify in my own mind what is happening. And so it's not only good because we're trying to communicate with each other, it's also good because I know you're really caring, and I'm able then to look at what's really going on and be able to have a clearer expression of how I'm feeling, because that's frustrating for everyone. If I don't know what I'm feeling, you don't know what I'm feeling, but together we can come to a place where we can connect, and I can define it more clearly in my own mind what I think the problem is. Does that make sense? I don't know if anybody has any questions or comments. Okay, we'll go back to Marshall then. And so, yeah, so he had given them an exercise to go into a conversation that they had with somebody and find a different way of coming back to them rather than whatever way they did, which generally, if you don't have some kind of clarity in your mind, it can be really frustrating for all parties. So, okay, so back to Marshall.
I need some help in addressing the feelings and needs behind the answer that I got back, which was one of the things that you said before lunch, which can be the most dangerous, when somebody just said, you make a request and somebody says, yes, I'll do that.
Yeah.
Can you help me? I mean, I could guess. I mean, what I wrote down was, are you feeling pain because you're needing recognition for the job you're doing?
Okay, I like that.
But, oh, okay.
But go ahead with the but.
I mean, it feels like there's a huge leap from the response, yes, I'll do that, to me asking that question.
Yeah, you're trying to sense what's really behind it. That's one of the two giraffe ways. The other possibility that would also be giraffe is to say bullshit in giraffe.
How do you say bullshit in giraffe?
I'm feeling uneasy with your okay.
Okay.
I wish I could trust it, but I don't. I'd really like you to take a moment and really tell me whether it would meet your needs to do as I requested. So that's when I would guess that the okay isn't okay. So
Okay.
that's how I would say bullshit in giraffe.
Thank you.
Giraffes are not nice. See, much of, I think, the violence in the world is created by nice people. So don't mistake the word nonviolence as being nice.
Are you feeling abandoned?
Not a feeling. It's a thought. Don't encourage jackals to think that way.
Are you feeling afraid
Now we're cooking.
because you are needing reassurance
Now we're cooking.
that I will not disappear?
That your needs will be taken care of. Leave yourself out of the other person's needs. They can live without you. All of their needs can be met without you.
How could I satisfy your needs? That is a valid question.
How could I satisfy your needs? That's a jackal question. That kind of question, if the other person is smart, they'll take the Fifth Amendment. Yeah.
This was an answer to when my daughter said, you sound like you're reading from a book.
You sound like you're reading from a book.
And I say, are you feeling scared, separate, or alienated? And are you needing to be responded to in a genuine, heartfelt way?
Yes, but you're doing it again when you do that. So with such a jackal for a while, until you make clear to them why you're doing it, so they will have less distrust of it, you would do just as you said, but silently.
Silently?
Yes. See, don't think we have to do this out loud for it to be powerful. It can be powerful if we don't say a word, as long as where our attention is here, you see. So you might have heard just that, but maybe not have said it out loud. See? Yeah, see, that's all you can hear with the giraffe ears on. And you can hear that even if you're silent. You don't have to say out loud. You could just have heard that. But you'll show that your attention is here from your eyes. Because when we're hearing what is in a person's heart, our eyes are different than when we're hearing a criticism or when we're making a criticism. You see? Our eyes, it's not subtle. Now, the advantage in being able to say it out loud is the person can correct us if we're not accurate. But even if we don't say it out loud, We live in a different world when we're connecting here than when we're hearing criticism.
This is a, the question would be, that I would have asked would be something like, I would like you to ask me for help if you need it.
Yes. And then the person responds.
I am afraid of becoming a burden.
No, there's a pretty, it's almost a giraffe response. So how do you respond to this person? I'm afraid of becoming a burden. Now, if you're a jackal, you would say, no, you wouldn't be a burden. So if you're a jackal, you will try to reassure. See, jackals try to fix people in pain. They try to give reassurance. They try to make it better. They can't stand pain. They immediately make matters worse by trying to get rid of the pain. In the book, When Bad Things Happen to Good People, written by Rabbi Harold Kushner, he's talking about a very tragic time in his life when his oldest son is dying. And he said, what could be worse than watching my son die? What could be worse were the things that good people were telling me to make me feel better, that made me feel worse. And what could be even more horrible than that? What they were doing, what they were saying that made me feel worse were exactly the things I had been saying to other people for 20 years in my role as a rabbi. See, he had been responding by trying to make it better. See? So we don't want to do that now. This is an important message. Well, I'm afraid that I'll be a burden. So put on giraffe ears. What is this person feeling and needing when they say that?
Are you feeling
Afraid? They've already told you the feeling. That's easy. So the afraid. Are you? So you're feeling afraid because why? Why are they afraid?
that you don't trust my offer to help?
Now put that in a need. You need some reassurance?
That I'll really be there?
No. I need reassurance that if you're there, you're doing it for you and not for me.
Uh-huh.
See, they want to be sure that if you're giving out of self-fullness, not selflessness.
Now, what about if you're not 100%?
Don't do it. I would suggest you heed Joseph Campbell's advice when he, having studied all the basic myths of the world and the basic religions, concludes that if there's one wise thing that seems present in all the basic religions, it's this: don't do anything that isn't play. Yes, don't do anything that isn't play. And it'll be play if you're meeting your own needs. So don't do things for other people.
Well, the only right way is
Hold
your
it,
way.
hold it, hold it, hold it. Your ears just dropped off. Put your ears back on, because if your ears are on, you will never hear the word right. It doesn't exist. If you hear that word, it's going to be toxic. Never hear another person telling you what's right. It's not good for them, it's not good for you.
Right. I understand that.
Okay, so just hear feelings and needs. I tell you 30 times, you don't listen. My God,
Do it
can't you
yourself.
see this bed? Pardon? No, you don't. You're proving now you don't.
Isn't it funny
If
how
you were
he-
listening, you wouldn't say, I listen.
Isn't it funny how he always comes in?
Pardon?
It's funny how he always comes in.
Yeah. So, what's this person feeling and needing? Let me help you out. Want me to help you out with this, Jack? Let me put on some giraffe ears here. So, Jackal, is it that it's frustrating when you have a certain sense of order and you'd really like to have that order maintained in the house? Well, that's a part of it, but it's not. That's not the only thing. I've told him over and over again. Oh, so is it that you feel hurt because you have a need to feel like your needs matter? Yes. It's like this doesn't matter to him. He doesn't care. So what's really the pain for you in this is your need to feel like you matter, that your needs matter. Yes. So how do you feel when you hear the jackal say this?
I'm feeling like I don't, well, that's not a feeling.
I'm glad you're catching it.
Feeling confused.
Yeah?
Feeling confused. Primarily because I can't identify the needs that are being expressed.
So you would really like to be able to hear a need like that when it's really going on?
Yeah, I would like that.
Yeah. You don't act like you do. Hold it, Jack. Hold it, Jack. That isn't going to make it easier for him, Jack. That isn't going to make it easier. So it's really painful for you. It's hard to believe that he cares enough to really matter. Yes, because I've told him over and over, so it's really for you an issue of whether your needs matter. Yes.
I'm feeling that it's not so much the beds or the dishes, though. Feeling it's something else.
I'm just telling you what it is. It's the general fear I have that my needs don't matter to you. How do you feel when the jackal tells you that?
Still confused.
What makes you confused about this?
Because I don't know how to respond to those needs.
What it would take is just empathy. If she could just feel the empathy that I just gave her. If you could just say, are you feeling in pain because you have the need for reassurance that your needs matter? Yes, yes. I've tried to tell you that for years. You don't listen.
Now it comes in, I guess now I'm feeling sad because I'm not meeting the needs.
Hold your sadness. She needs more empathy. See, this is what often happens. We get to our feelings too quickly. With my help, we just got started. This is not the end. There's a lot more pain in there that she needs empathy for before she can hear your sadness. So, Jackal, am I hearing you that for you the real painful issue here is not being confident that your needs matter? My needs have never mattered in any relationship, not in my family and not now. So what's real painful is for you to feel that your needs matter, and this has been going on a long time. Yes. Yes, I do everything I can. I've told him over and over again. So you do everything you know how, and when your needs still don't get responded to, it really hurts.
All right. So I know that was kind of a lot of little scenarios, but did anybody notice anything or have any sort of I identify with any of the scenarios that he was talking about just now? Yeah, Mickey.
Hi. So, not pertaining to that specific question, but just that um, I kind of identified with the guy at the end there that wasn't Marshall. I don't feel like I have a handle on this at all, and I know we've just started this, so should give it a little while to. But if somebody came at me with that particular scenario, I don't feel like, I tell you this stuff over and over again and you never listen to me kind of thing. I would have no idea what to say to that, except for, I'm sorry, and that's one of the least helpful things that you could say. Maybe it's a teeny bit helpful, but not in the long run. So I'm glad we're doing this, and I'm hoping that I can start catching on to what you're really supposed to say. So thanks, Lynn.
Yeah, thank you, Mickey. Yeah, and that's kind of the idea of these scenarios because this is not unusual. When you have conversations with people in your family or people that you care about, there's so many times that, they're like, "Yeah, I've been telling you this for years," and you're like, I don't, I'm not getting what it is that you're saying here because we haven't really been trained to listen to feelings and needs. We've been trained to listen to, tell me your story, let's get it over with so that we can get on with it. Okay, I'm going to analyze and figure out what your problem is, and then we're going to solve the problem, then we're going to get on with it. And the whole purpose of the learning how to listen through giraffe ears, nonviolent communication, is to actually slow down and learn how to listen and to connect with the other person. And that's what's the beauty of this is the connection that comes about because we are able to uh, really listen and respond, not with let me diagnose you, figure out what's wrong, and solve the problem so we can get on with our lives. It really is, let's hear what's really going on with you and with me so that we can together come to a place where we're comfortable and not constantly in arguments in our minds or in fear of what to say or not to say. So that's the whole purpose. A big part of it's like the Course of Miracles. A big part of healing is figuring out where I hurt, where it hurts, because until you really can tell where the problem is, you're never going to find the answer. And that's the same thing with the course. Marcy, please go ahead.
I just wanted to add one thing really quick. Sorry, Marcy.
That's okay.
No is that problem. It seems like the trick is to figure out a need and a feeling when words are being flung around, and that doesn't seem like the easy, how do you get to that need? How do you figure out what the need is and what the feeling is? So
Yeah, and that's why you have the little questioning kind of thing. Are you feeling, sad because of this? Are you feeling angry because of this? Do you need reassurance? Do you need, we're again, we're looking at we're trying to figure it out. We're not just saying, "Oh, I know what this is," and let me cure this. It's really getting to the communication where a person can really tell you what they need, can really tell you because most of the time people don't even know themselves. That's what I was saying earlier. There's so many times I don't even know myself what's upsetting me, or I know, but I blocked it out because it's so painful or it's so personal, or it's so I'm afraid of the power of it. We give it so much power and it puts us into a place of fear. And so this is a way of just breaking down those walls that keep me from knowing why I'm doing these things. Why I'm acting the way I'm acting, why I'm responding the way I'm responding, why I'm upset when, you know, until you kind of break those things down, it's easy to blame the world and easy to blame my upbringing, my parents, what happened to me in my last marriage or whatever. But those are the things. All that is surface, and what we're really doing with learning how uh, to connect with our own needs and feelings and needs it goes beneath the surface and we actually begin to be able to heal. Anyway, Marcy, please go ahead.
Yeah, I got two thoughts in my head. Let's see if I remember the second one or not. But when I was listening to it, I was thinking about the family because I've had a couple of traumatic brain injuries from falls and the car accident 2 years ago. And so I don't really communicate that great anyway. And then if I get too overstimulated with everybody yelling or whatever's happening, the brain just actually freezes up and I can't muster anything except I'm angry. Or I'll say I need to leave the room for a while but there's not a lot of patience now with me because I'm always asking for something. So my daughter went somewhere today and she actually followed through. She had put where she's going on the calendar, what time she needed to be picked up. Okay. That's all I had asked her to do and she did it. And then today we don't know what time. I forgot because I didn't know if she said 3:45 or 4:45. Then my husband hears 4:45. So she's calling earlier saying like, aren't you coming to get me? And he's mad at me because he said, well, your mother said 4:45. And I said 3:45 and 4:45. It's just too much talking and it's too much ridiculous communication. And there's some, how do I put this? Social communication disorder in the house. And some of it, I think it is learned behavior and some of it is actually there. So this complicates everything.
Yeah,
So that's kind of where I am. And all I want to do is, I was saying earlier when I got on, I just want to move to the basement, not have so much contact with people here. And when I was here, I don't know if you saw, my husband came in and threw my phone on the desk and said, I can't turn something off. And I'm like, yeah, that's how it was for me. I can't turn it off. But I'm like, see, I'm in a live group here, dear. I don't want to talk about my phone right now.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's that as you're talking about the confusion that comes from all the external stimulation that's going on and how hard it is to really um, gain control of your thinking when you're feeling like you're bombarded and that's how I sense that you're feeling like you're just being
Yeah.
bombarded with with stimulation that and yes, of course you want to move to the basement. Let me go someplace where I can have some peace and
Yeah.
uh, and that's why learning this, a more peaceful mode of communication uh, helps to bring about that quiet in the mind because we're
Yeah.
no longer feeling like we're being attacked, but we're
Yeah.
feeling like we're being heard. And
Right.
that's
Yeah.
people only yell when they think you don't hear.
Yeah, but it's starting to feel so annoying that it's traumatic in that sense. Plus, I can't control what my brain is doing. I'm going for speech therapy. I'm trying everything I can. But it's just really hard. And they don't actually I don't think anybody here has the tolerance for me to finish a sentence. So like I took too long to say it.
And exactly as you're saying, it's frustrating when you feel you're not being heard because they're wanting the snap. Just give me
Mhm.
the cliff notes on this, and
Yeah,
you need really to hear it all yourself. So
right.
and that they're not really hearing you at all. And that's
Yeah,
that's what's frustrating is when you know that they're not really hearing you at all. That they've already made up in their mind what you're saying. And
right.
so the chance for true communication is really very very slim in
Yeah,
that case. And
yeah,
and and also then when you find yourself in that position, you can tell me if this is right or not. When you find yourself in that position, then you really want to just speed it up so that
right.
you can get it out.
Right.
So they don't just dump on you and leave you. And
Yeah,
it's so interesting to me to hear your daughter because to me she's a little girl. I've never.
Well, she's 15 now, so I get the eye rolls a lot. And
Yeah.
that's, it's just like that visual feedback to me is upsetting. Even
Yes.
though that's her business, it's not mine. I didn't make her do that.
Yeah.
I can think I did, and maybe I was annoying to her in whatever way she interprets that, but so the one piece of I think positive thing that I did today was my husband was I could hear him bumbling around the kitchen looking for his 4 boxes of cream cheese that he bought. And I just decided not to even have the discussion. It was just like, where do you think you put it? And then I just started looking all over the place. That was the only way I could be helpful. There's no discussion because if I put something away like that, it might not go in the refrigerator or the freezer. It might go in a cabinet or with the cookbooks or who knows. You know? So I
Yeah.
just showed up. That's all I thought I could do was show up.
Yes. And yes, if you don't know, you don't know.
Yeah.
So you can't pretend to know. And I'm sure that's very frustrating too. So there's just it's so much that we need to unpack with this way of communicating. And I do love how Marshall said, you don't even have to say a word, but you
Yeah.
just as you know, the eye rolls, whatever, you're already hearing, and they're already hearing.
Yeah. I'm already interpreting what that means.
Yeah. And that can be really painful too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So thank you, Marcy.
Yeah. Thank you.
Sharon, yeah, go ahead. I'd love to
Okay.
hear what you got to say.
When I was thinking, I went to one of Larry Lawhorn's groups. It was about, I think it was last year, and he's big in this, right? The
Yes.
nonviolent communication. So what they were doing, and what I heard you do, Marshall doing, and you explaining it is, we sense into it. We have to sense into even like the sound, like you were talking about sound therapy, the sound that you're hearing, because your heart and their heart is the same. So, you know, without understanding the concepts, you would just ask, you know, and then just verbalize, I can feel that. And you could say that to the person. I understand. And are you feeling like you're not being heard? But in a deep way. Now, I didn't do it with a marriage group because I wasn't getting it. I was confused, but it's a practice. This is something that we can't just come once in a while and do. This is like uh, it's when the mind finally understands it and it just does it automatically. Like it's a training, just like the course. In so many ways, it's a training because you're retraining yourself not to guess or not to want to, sometimes for I've had an experience with people where I just want to give the answer before I even know what that is. When you really want to sense into it, because when you give an answer, all you're giving usually is something from the past, and you're not feeling that the heart of that being, even though it's you, because everyone is you. It's a way of connecting. Thanks.
Thank you, Sharon. And that's a wonderful thing to understand. It is a wonderful thing to understand that I can't know for sure, but I do know for sure that we all have the same needs. So whatever the need is that you are experiencing and expressing, it's something I already know I need as well. And then we also have the same feelings. Feelings are not something that, I have my exclusive set of feelings and you have your exclusive set of feelings. They're all things that we share as well. It's the sameness, it's what we are. And so it's learning how to connect in that sameness and communicate through that sameness. Yeah, Sharon, did you want to say something else?
Well, yeah, I wanted to say that you wouldn't see it if it wasn't in your mind too. You can't see anything. Our vision just shows us that we're only seeing ourselves. So it's kind of like a double healing for the being that's next to you and yourself. And it takes patience and, like I said, practice. But I think not understanding it is the beginning, because that's the whole point. when we think we understand something, we're not even like taking it all in. It's like it's a deep teaching and a practice that we want to feel these vibrations. And they're subtle, but it's just this connecting in, even though this is a reflection of oneness, it is a reflection. And for that reason, Holy Spirit just brings us to this love that's all encompassing. And we need to this is where I know true empathy in the course, what it's saying, but that's still like in true empathy, you're just seeing your brother as yourself, which is just, awareness. But, there also is a point where I think when you're doing this kind of work, that this actually brings you closer to yourself and your brother because you're really feeling into it rather than the head talking. It's the heart that feels. So to feel into it, you wouldn't be using your head. You'd be really putting your hand on your heart and just feeling and sensing. Thanks.
Thank you, Sharon. Yes, exactly. And that it's the reason I picked that particular video was not because I thought everybody would look at that and say, oh yeah, this is now I could how I could do that, but to give you to give you and to give me give us all a curiosity as to how it is that we can do this and actually be effective, because again, this stuff is so effective when it's done, and it doesn't even have to be done well, because the thing that's so beautiful about it is if I decide that I really want to connect with you, then that's the first and most important step. That connection is already there because of what we are. And so this gives us an opportunity to connect uh, in a meaningful way, because we've learned a different way of expressing and a different way of listening. So that if you've wondered about this, how can I do this, and like he was saying that the one scenario that he was saying was that you're talking like you're talking out of a book, and that's how that I got that a lot from my family and friends when I was first doing this. Yeah, mom, we know the formula, we know you got the they all knew that, uh, and that's okay because it still comes out of the same need for communion and communication, and it comes out of the same desire to join. So however mechanical it may sound, eventually it becomes a lot more natural because it becomes the way you think, and it becomes a way of thinking and seeing that is more natural and easier, really, than the way that I used to communicate, which was basically shot in the dark. And I don't really know. I don't know what to say. You come to me with something, I don't know what to say to you, so I'll say, I'll pray for you or bless your heart or, you know, some other thing that doesn't really even uh, doesn't become real communication because yeah, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. This little technology of nonviolent communication actually gives you a script almost. And I think also, what I realize is that we're following a script anyway. So, it's not like any big deal. Regis, hey buddy. How are you doing this evening? This cold evening. See, it's not just cold in Pueblo. Anyway, go ahead, bud.
Yeah, yeah, you can hear me okay?
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, you can hear me. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, it's cold. I like it. I've been out shoveling snow and doing all the good snowy things. I love this little snow. It looks like diamonds are in it. It's sparkly. Um, But one of the things that you were saying was about someone may say, well, you sound like a book or whatever, or you may sound like a book to yourself. But, and you nailed it because you were saying, well, everything we are is just a program anyway. So the way that we talk, the words we use, and how we present ourselves is just what we were trained and programmed to do through our families, whoever our caretakers were. So it's still not, we think, oh, that's me, that's not myself, I'm not being myself. But I was just wanting to say for anybody that listen to this on YouTube, you know, as you were saying, Lynn, it'll begin to feel natural. It's not that it's inauthentic. It's not that it's fake or phony. It's just that if you were born to a Spanish-speaking family, and all of a sudden you're being raised in the United States and you start speaking English, things are going to feel a little awkward after a while. But then you hear a lot of Hispanics and people of other descents. They say, I don't hardly know my native language now. You know, they get, so you can change is what I'm saying. It's like, it's not that any of it is fake or phony. It's just, I'm not used to hearing these words come out of my mouth. The people around me are not used to hearing them, but that doesn't mean that it's not genuine, that it's not sincere love and empathy behind it. It just means it doesn't sound like it always has sounded, or we're not using words and the way we've always used them. So a lot of times we can get really thrown out the park with that, and it can really become a stumbling block, and it doesn't have to be because other people or your own mind or conditioned mind will say, no, 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 that's not how you talk. That's not, you're not being genuine. You're being, you know, and that's absolutely not true. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Regis. Yes, exactly. And you know, you don't want to seem like you're not being genuine because you know the language that we learned from our family was just that. It was just a language that we learned, and it wasn't something that came natural to us. You were mentioning about, you know, you're born speaking a certain language. I had a friend, Rita, who came to the United States when she was a little girl from Holland, and she spoke Dutch. And she couldn't speak English, and so she couldn't understand, you know, anything, you know, at school. But the teacher sat her down every day. A different student would sit with her and read to her. They would read a book, and the student would read to her out loud, you know, pointing at the book. And uh, pretty soon she started being able to understand English, and then pretty soon she stopped being able to understand her parents. She when she went home, she didn't understand. I mean, she was losing that language of origin because she had been indoctrinated into this new language. And honestly, you know, to be indoctrinated into the language of giraffe, which is what Marshall always talks about. That's why I have all these little giraffes all over the place, and why you know, Brooklyn bought me this beautiful giraffe blanket because it is all about uh, learning how to listen a different way and focusing on it that way. And so it really is a wonderful gift to change the language, to change your language.
Yeah, one of
And
the things that Tracy and I are learning and trying to learn together is even how we get our needs met. You know, sometimes we have a need and we think the other person can help us feel it, or, you know, but we'll put the burden on the other person instead of saying what we want and what we need. We'll shift the burden and make it the other person feel like you're not giving me something. Why aren't you giving me this? You know, and so when we could just as easily say, oh, I need this. Like, I'll tell you a funny one that me and Tracy had. Like, and it's just a little tweak and reversal of language. So I always have, even before I met her, listened to soft music, meditations and stuff when I lay down to go to sleep. I just leave it playing until I fall asleep, and it plays all night or till it stops. It so now she's gotten in the habit of listening to it. So, but I don't know when she's listening and when she's not. So one night I turned it off, and she said, "Bad DJ." Well, see, that was a slap on me. That was like an attack on me, which she could have just, we talked about it, like we could have just simply said, "Hey, I'm listening to that, but you leave it on." Because now I'm just saying my need and what I want without making the other person feel anything. And so I think that's a lot of what nonviolent communication is teaching us, if we're open to just how to turn things around to where we don't even realize some of the things we say are, it's like a backhanded slap or a gentle attack. We don't even realize it, that, and we don't realize how we put other people off when we don't even have to. If we would just kind of tweak it and just express ourselves genuinely, the other person or the recipients of whatever we're saying don't even have to feel off put at all. But we've been raised a certain way, and our family talk a certain way, and your mom would say, "Well, why don't you clean up your room?" Almost the undertone is, "You lazy bum," or "What's wrong with you?" When you could just say, "Honey, would you please go in and clean up your room?" It would really make me. I love a clean house. Why don't you do that for me? You'll get a whole different response. And I just love what you're doing on Mondays with these tapes and conversations, because it is so helpful. It is not about being inauthentic or being fake or phony, but we're just really learning how to speak the language of love. We talk about love, we talk about compassion, we talk about empathy, but you know what? We come to a place where we realize, I don't know the language of empathy. I don't know the language of love. I don't know the language of compassion, and I need to be taught it.
Thank you, Regis. Wow. And what you just said, uh, all right, what you just said made me feel really happy because I was not sure if the things that we were listening to and thinking about were really being helpful to people. I was in my own mind thinking, am I, pushing too much or, what am I doing here? And so I was having a lot of uncertainty myself as to whether or not this was helpful. And so when you express to me that it's helpful to you, uh, that brings me just a tremendous amount of joy, Regis. It made me so happy. Uh, and so, thank you for saying that.
Oh
Thank you
yeah.
for saying that.
Sometimes I get so excited about these recordings that you play on Monday. I was telling Tracy, you know how you get so excited you can hardly stand it, And so yeah, but yeah, it is definitely helpful, and I'm sure a lot of people may be quiet because they just really taking it in, because it's just like learning Spanish or learning Chinese. We're really learning the language of love. We really, of true love. We like to talk about love. We like to talk about Jesus, you know, but it's a difference. But what is the language? What is that? What is that language? What is that language of, I want to be compassionate. I want to draw people, not repel people. And that desire is genuine. But if I don't know the language, just like if I go into these Pueblo schools, and as much as I want to make these Hispanic children that barely speak English feel welcome and warm, if I don't know the language, That's very hard for me to do. I have to learn to communicate in an effective way. And I'm just, again, reiterating to the ego and to anybody listening that, that's not, that is just learning the language of nonviolent communication is just as genuine as me learning Spanish. It's
Yeah.
just as genuine as me learning any other dialect. It's not being fake, it's not being phony, it's not any of those things. It's learning to express myself in a way. I always used to use this quote: if I want to be understood, make myself understandable. Don't put the burden on Lynn to understand me. Or, because we can get upset and say, you're not listening, you're not listening, you're not listening to me, you're not listening to me. But really, am I making myself understandable? What can I do to make myself understandable and to make myself put myself in a place where uh, people are more welcoming of what I have to say?
You hit the nail right on the head there, Regis, because yes, it's being able to communicate where, people feel um loved, and they want to hear what you have to say, and you want to hear what they have to say. I love that. And uh, uh, Sharon says in the chat, I love nonviolent communication. I do too, and I'm just so grateful that next week we'll do maybe some looking at feelings and needs, and get into some practicing, because that's really how it comes about. Just like any other language, unless you practice it, you're not going to remember it. You're not going to come once a week to a Spanish class and then not think about it until next week when you come back to Spanish class. You're going to practice speaking Spanish. So I would really love to get us to a point where we can practice speaking this to each other, and do some exercises where we put up scenarios, and we look at how would I say this, and how would I respond. And so I love that so much, and I cannot believe it, but our time is up.
Yeah. We
It's
went
been
over,
so
yeah.
wonderful. Just to let you guys know, tomorrow night, same bat station here, and McKaylee is going to be here, and she's going to talk about her relationship with Tara Singh as a teacher. Tara was, I mentioned this earlier, one of the early students of Helen Schuckman, and so he came from I think a Hindu background, and so he had a different point of view, for sure. So I'm really excited about hearing McKaylee talk about her time with him. So thanks you all so very much. I love you, and look forward to seeing you all next time.
Thanks, Lynn. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks,
All right.
Marcy. I
Good
love
night.
you, sweetie. Goodness. All right.